Hello and welcome to Alchemist's Whim. Today, our whim of the day is going to be our drop spindles that I'm making. So these are resin. They have a lot of sparkle in them, which you can probably pick up from the excellent shots I'm getting here. Most of them are purple. I have a couple of them that are kind of pinky purple. So I'm going to be working on sanding them, and that way we can work on assembly of them tomorrow. So sanding the resin will get a nice rounded edge on here instead of a little bit of a sharp edge from where the resin was against the silicone mold that I used to make this. And cool fact is these are awesome little just little cake molds. So super easy to make. So if you are interested in making your own drop spindles, you can just get these at a craft store, and just mix your own resin. I've just put glitter in there, so it's not anything too complicated, though I do recommend making sure that if you do play with resin at all, making sure you're in a very well ventilated area. True story, the first batch of resin drop spindles I made, here is one of them. The resin that I used was just so noxious, but it wasn't in the sense of, I mean, it was really bright smell, but it also just made me feel really loopy. And then I had this euphoric response to it first, and then I just totally crashed and got really grumpy the next day afterwards. I almost had a hangover from it, and it was kind of fascinating. And so be careful what you're breathing in. Make sure you have good ventilation. Next time I do resin, I will share with you what the kind of resin that I use. I find that it works with my lungs pretty well. It doesn't make them too upset. So today, also want to talk a little bit about my method for sanding. So I just use a nice variety of sanding papers, and so kind of go slowly through larger grit to a smaller grit, probably too excessively, but I like to just overdo it on that, making sure that I get a nice a smooth surface. I do wet sanding, so I also wear a respirator while I'm sanding to limit the amount of particles in the air, and I wet sand so that it also holds down the particles as well, so they're not just floating around everywhere. I mean, I've got kitties right over here on the chair. It's the blanket there is, so I didn't feel like I had room to line up the backdrop too much today, because kitty sleep is very important. I get home from work and hang out with Kitty for a bit, and then jump into filming, so it's exciting. So I think I'm going to work on spinning a bit. I've got some beautiful mohair that this isn't mohair, this is merino. I've dyed mohair on another thing, so for some reason that M stuck in my head. This is merino. So it is some of the first batch I dyed fiber-wise, which is really exciting, so I learned a lot, but I also got some really fun colors in this one. So we're going to do some spinning. So I do a nice thicker yarn. It's a single. I might ply it just because it's kind of fun to see how that plies out. But I like to kind of pull fibers, and that's kind of a fun look in the light there. Just see the staple's pretty long, which is nice, and gives us a chance to just to kind of get some really good spins going on. So I've got a weird thing there. So the cool thing about fibers is that you can kind of pull them apart and let them gather amongst themselves to begin pulling into a strand of yarn. So when I first started spinning many years ago, I did drop spindle to start, and then I borrowed somebody's spinning wheel. And then I was like, okay, this is something I want to do. And then I ended up buying my own spinning wheel. So in that time period, I didn't, oh, I'm going to fall apart there. Okay. I didn't, I spin on the drop spindle for a long time. So this is me jumping back into drop spindle spinning after I decided that, hey, I can make some. So I tend to follow kind of ideas, and because I tend to be a maker in the sense of I just come up with ways to build things, ways to kind of overcome different solutions with things that I can overcome. So as I was trying to figure out what kind of products I wanted to have besides hand spun yarn, hand dyed yarn, actually, during this this rendition. So I was trying to get other things that I could have. If I wanted to be more of a fiber artist and expand on that, I was like, I can make some drop spindles. And I'm like, how can I make them that they're cool? And then I fell in love with resin. I also want to play more with resin, and I want to make my own molds because I think it makes some really fun creatures, and I like making fun creatures. I used to crochet a lot of fun creatures, so making them out of resin sounds kind of fun. That way I can play with some different designs. They can be used as just resin figurines, but then also even like weights for fabrics and anything you want to have a little creature around for. So I plan on playing that, so I'll probably share my process as I make the molds, and I don't know, I might use like clay to form some of the things, and then there's nice kits that you can get that you can do silicone, and then be able to just cast whatever you need. So I'm excited to play with that. I always have lots of different ideas, and it's like I don't ever really run out of them. I think what I find and why I'm doing this YouTube channel is to keep me focused on just having something going, because I tend to either talk myself out of it. You might have this type of a thing that happens to you too, where you either talk yourself out of it, or you end up doing something else and you're not doing what you want to do or how you maybe want to spend your time. So this is me having some level of maybe accountability towards myself, or just some sort of drive, something that I'm doing every day. At the beginning of this year, 2023, it'll be funny to watch these videos later and then have this feel like some really, really distant time period. And sometime in the past. My brain thinks about these things for some reason. And so my thoughts are like I'm totally distracting myself and forgot where I was going. So my initial thought on this and where I started this was kind of where I'm focusing on for this year, as I started doing yoga every day. And so I was like, well, if I can do that, then I can do anything else every day. So I challenged myself to be creative. And with being creative, I was like, well, if I do the YouTube channel and then I focus on creating something during that episode, it gives me a chance to talk about it, to connect with people, but then also to keep myself creating and building and making. And that's the stuff that matters. That's the stuff that fuels me, fuels my creativity, makes me happy, makes me feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. So with that, I'm planning to do this every day, and I hope you'll join me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I keep on having issues with this, so I obviously need to do one or the other. I filmed a little bit of this earlier, and I had some weird tangents, and so I kept on using the word which I think I'm a little bit better this time around. And but I also spun better, so I think I was focusing too much on that and not about what I was saying. So I hope that you'll join me for future episodes. I will say hi to Kitty for a second. He's going to give us a little meow. You want to say hi to everybody? You grumpy? You just woke up. Alright, so Kitty says hi, everybody. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. It's been a great hanging out. And we'll see where the whim takes us for next time. Thanks so much. Toodaloo.